Hi. Hi, friends. It's Friday, January 10th, 2025. As always, I'm so glad to be here today to discuss the current astrology, astrology in general, and any questions that you have. I'm so sorry about yesterday. Something happened with the connection. The connection was lost toward the end of the time together, right when I got to the Q&A, and it just dropped the stream. And I hadn't gotten a chance yet to look at the comments and reply, but there were quite a few there. And I recall seeing even some things about, I think someone may have put their primary triad in there and wanted me to speak about their sun, moon, and rising. And I think there were a few questions, but I didn't get a chance to read them. And now they're sort of lost in the ether of live chat stream history. So please feel free to leave any questions in the comments. If you happen to be here from yesterday and you were someone who left a comment yesterday, please post it again. And if you're watching this later, leave it in the comments. Once the video's been uploaded, then those comments can get to me at any time. So if you're not watching this live, if you're watching this later and you have a question, feel free to add that and we can talk about it then. So I'm so sorry about that yesterday. Today, what I want to talk about is the nodes leaving Aries and Libra. I'm just going to mark them really quickly here on our screen for the sake of clarity. We have our south node in Libra and our north node in Aries. And today is the last full day for the next 18, 19 years that these nodes will be in these signs. So I want to talk about the end of this cycle and what it signifies for us. And I'm going to talk about the 29th degree point a little bit as well, because we're getting ready for the nodes to move over into that 29th degree. So I want to touch on that as well. And then we'll have time at the end for Q&A. And I have a Q&A here from someone who commented on a Sagittarius horoscope. If you happen to be here, I will get to your question as well at the end of this report. I'm going to try to link this report to that horoscope then. Do feel free, please, to check out my horoscopes for January. I put a lot of time and thought into them, and this is more of a time to have sort of a casual chat about astrology live every day, and that has its time and place. I will link to a video here at the end from yesterday where I talked about the benefit of live astrology. Being able to tap into those energies as they're unfolding for us, I think, is really, really nice. But those horoscopes, if you look at them for your rising sign, on my channel, there's just a lot of detailed information there about the month in general, about a few of the big highlights. So please check that out as well. Okay, so let's jump in here. Let's talk about these nodes leaving Aries and Libra. So the nodes take about 19 years to go all the way around the chart, and they move backwards across the chart. Everything else moves through the signs the way that the year goes, right? We go from Aries to Taurus to Gemini to Cancer. So things are traveling around the chart, right? But the nodes go the other way. So right now, the nodes are at 1 degree, or at 0 degrees. 0 degrees of Aries and Libra. And tomorrow they will shift and they'll be at the 29 degree point. This north node here will be at the 29th degree of Pisces. So we're switching from the beginning of the zodiac to the end of the zodiac. And that's a very unique thing. We'll continue to talk about it. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that tomorrow too. Today I really wanted to focus on the Aries Libra side of it. Think about what we're wrapping up. But oh, it's such a powerful shift right there. So Aries and Libra, when the nodes were in this house, where they've been for about 18 months, we've really been thinking about stories around the self versus other. Um, Sometimes those connections can change. You know, some relationships that aren't working anymore might end during a period like this, and new relationships that are really meant for us can come in, or people can come back into our lives who were meant to be there if we lost touch. But it's also about, primarily about, work with the relationships that we have, and just the way that we sort of move through the day. Let's break it down. Let's look at each one at a time, because they're different energy. Where we have the North Node, we're bringing in. It's sort of a fated bringing in. I love that about the nodes. I love the way they connect to fate, to destiny to some extent. There's something that's really meant for us, whatever that means to you, however you connect with that idea. So the Aries, North Node working through Aries has been helping us to be more self-assertive, to really focus on our own path and our own destiny. It's like we've been remembering who we are and what our path is and what we're meant to focus on. We've come into a deeper understanding of what that is. We've been able to focus on it in a more mature way. We're honoring it in a new way, who we really are. Aries can also help us work with themes around courage, being really courageous, being brave in some way. Also, themes around anger can surface with Aries. We may have been working with anger, where it's healthy, where it's not healthy, where expressing it is healthy, where expressing it isn't healthy. Also, themes around independence and leadership. These are all things that we've been calling in, right? Our own path, our own unique destiny, our self-assertion, honoring ourselves in this new way. And then the South Node in Libra is a place, that's where you're letting go, wherever the South Nodes are, wherever the South Node is a place where you're really letting go. And it really resonates with this as well, because these signs work together, you know, they work with their counterpart across the way. So we've been letting go, releasing unhealthy dependencies, right? If there was a place where we were dependent, or someone was dependent on us and it wasn't healthy, there's been some release and some updating of that. Releasing people pleasing, releasing avoiding conflict, right? So just as Aries has been helping us to find that anger in that healthy way, we've been releasing avoiding conflict at all costs, as if there's something wrong with it. We've been learning more and more about how facing a conflict in a loving way with someone helps you get to know them better. And so it's a gift and we welcome it in. So I think that during this time, putting it sort of all together, themes around sort of like independence, well, it's interdependence. It's really interdependence versus codependence. That's really a way you could read this axis, right? Codependence is not healthy. We were releasing that. But interdependence, being authentically yourself, connecting with others from that place, that is healthy. We've been working with that. Also, I think addressing conflict, that's been a theme. There have been a lot of conflicts surfacing for individuals. Certainly in the collective, we've seen quite a lot of conflict. And we've been figuring out how to navigate that, where it's healthy, where it's not healthy, what does healthy anger look like. And I think we've been finding our own voice for those best relationships. We've been stepping into our own power, our own path, our own unique, empowered selves more and more, and finding our own real voice to be present in those relationships. So these are the kinds of things we've been working on for the last 18 months. And now we're really beginning a whole new cycle, because we're going back to Pisces. which is a much more intuitive, letting go kind of energy. We will talk about it tomorrow. I do want to say about the 29th degree point that we're shifting into. And there are so many planets right now in late degrees. Let me just change this a little bit so that we can see everything. So these nodes are about to shift over and they'll be at the 29th degree point, and soon enough Neptune will be there and soon enough Uranus will be there, and Mars just left that point because we're working through a retrograde and we'll come back. The 29th degree point where these nodes move right away as soon as they get out of Aries Libra, it can be thought of as a very difficult degree, and it is, but it's also a mastery degree. It's also a degree, it's where you're sort of, it's at the end of the sign, so it's sort of like, in a way, the most challenging themes around that sign can surface when something's at the 29 degree point, but you're ready for that. That's why it's in your chart, or that's why it's a transit that's happening right now. So it's a mastery degree in that you sort of face those highest, most meaningful and powerful parts of the sign and master them before moving on to the next lesson. So to start at 29 degrees of Pisces, we need all of this relationship skill that we've been building up and we've been working on lately. We need it. It's good that we had it for those 18 months, because now we're coming into this mastery degree level where there's sort of a level of spirituality and letting go that's different than what we've seen before. But we'll save that. We'll save that for tomorrow and probably the next day as well and beyond, because the nodes will be in Pisces Virgo for 18 months. So I did want to address the question. Let's move on and do questions real quick before I let you go. If there are any questions, please leave them in the comments. I did want to address the question that I got in the Sag horoscope. So someone basically gave me a bunch of information about their chart. Sag Sun, Sag Rising, Mercury in Sag, you know who you are, and asked about moving. So a few things. First, I love that you're saying you're really thinking of doing that and you're probably going to do it. And what does the astrology say about all of that? Because that's exactly the right way to think about it, is like, we don't make decisions based upon the astrology, of course, but it's interesting when you're making a decision to take a look at the astrology and see what it has to say. You know, so much astrology actually is this tool for introspection. And if we use it that way, it really helps to not be like afraid of astrology that's coming up or looking to astrology to help us decide what to do. That really isn't the intention. So try to continue to be in that place of like, okay, I'm making my decisions based on my internal voice, which is what feels good and right to me. And I'm also using logic to make sure that this is a sound decision, right? If my inner voice tells me just to quit my job and, you know, run away from everything, you know, it might be worth using some logic to say, whoa, it's going a bit far or whatever. So we don't want to completely turn off our logical voice. But listening to your internal guidance system, whatever your practices are, and then we look at the astrology to just see if it can add anything to this conversation for us, right? It's not about making the decision based upon it. So I love the way you responded to that. Thank you for that. And one thing that's so interesting is astrocartography. I wonder if you've ever checked out astrocartography. If you go to astro.com, it's an amazing resource, astro.com. It's completely free and you can get your chart if you go to the extended chart selection. And you can even select for astrocartography once you're in there. It's the tool that I use when I do these kinds of readings for people. And it's just so interesting because it sort of takes a chart and it projects it across the world. And it's amazing. Almost any time you're moving somewhere, you have lived somewhere, you'll find it on that map. You'll find that your Venus line goes through it or your North Node line goes through it. And the site provides some information about what that sign, about what that line means to you, about how this lines up in your chart. So that can be really interesting to look at. And I just wanted to recommend that. It's a fun resource, really, for anyone listening to this. Anyone would enjoy that. It's a little bit tricky to navigate that website. It takes a little patience and time, but it's just because there's so much data there. Eventually you get it. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help. I will say that you have the nodes will be working as they shift into Virgo and Pisces. They will be working through your 10th house and your 4th house, which rules your career and your home. So that shows that there's quite a lot of focus in those areas for the next 18 months. You know, whatever that means, there's a lot of energy going to like your physical home where you live, also like your home and your family of origin, sort of where you come from in that sense, and also your career and your work. And sort of the way, the balance between those two things is a real theme for you for the next 18 months, the way these nodes are moving. So that's sort of something to consider in the picture. And then Leo rules your 9th house, which is about long distance travel. This is a relocation. It's not really a travel, but it is interesting that Pluto recently moved into Aquarius, which is across the chart from that house. So it's just bringing some new energy to your travel house because now Pluto is opposing all those planets. So, you know, it just brings sort of a deeper, more meaningful energy to the ideas around travel. You'll have to see how that plays out for you, but I certainly see that shift. So I can't say based upon what you said about your chart and even just based upon the limits of astrology, whether or not you should move, right? You know that. And you have that feeling. But astrology weighing in would say you're going to be spending a lot of time on work and career in the future, and your relationship to travel does seem to be sort of shifting and changing a bit right now. So for whatever that's worth, I hope that's a bit helpful to you. And yeah, okay, I'm looking at the notes here, and I see a note from someone with a June 12th birthday. The first thing that jumps out to me to say to you, maybe you're looking for a little comment on something about your chart or that you can have today. It's interesting with Jupiter working through the sign of Gemini. It's so positive and auspicious. We have so many new opportunities coming in, but Jupiter and Gemini is also helping us realize what we don't want and what isn't working. And I think those themes are really coming into focus a lot right now. So that might be something that's resonating for you. So I just thought I'd mention that. Please leave any questions in the comments. I will be back tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Welcome anyone who's new. Thank you for your likes. I'm really enjoying this. So thank you. I'll see you again tomorrow.